The forest was quiet, too quiet. The moon sat high above, shining a pale light over the tall trees. Then a thick, dark python slithered out. Its scales glowed like wet oil under the moon. It lifted its head, hissed softly, and suddenly its body began to twist, bend, and change shape. Within seconds, the long serpent was gone. Standing in its place was a tall, handsome man. His name was Morvin. He wore a dark tuxedo that looked like something a billionaire would use for a night party in Dubai. A shiny gold wristwatch rested on his wrist. His beard was perfectly carved. His hair looked like the kind you see on rich men in magazines. He had a black suitcase in one hand, and he smiled, a cold, charming smile that held deep secrets no human could ever understand. Without looking back, Morvin walked out of the forest like a man returning from a business trip. No one, absolutely no one, would have guessed that a few minutes ago he was nothing but a giant serpent. Outside the forest, he lifted his hand. A black Venza appeared in front of him as if the night obeyed him. The body of the car glittered under the moonlight. He opened the driver's door, placed his suitcase on the passenger seat, and drove off calmly, like a man who already knew exactly where destiny was taking him.
At the same time, in another part of Abuja, the night was wild. The club was full to the brim. Loud music, flashing lights, people shouting, dancing, drinking, shaking their bodies like they wanted to forget every problem they ever had. Cars lined the front of the club like rich men's toys. BMWs, Benz, Lexus, Jeeps. But when the black Venza stopped in front of the entrance, heads turned. Morvin stepped out slowly. Tall, fresh, expensive. Everywhere became quiet for a split second. People admired him, yet they moved out of his way without him saying a single word. He carried his black suitcase and walked into the club as if he owned the building. Inside, he looked around, scanning every dancing body, every flashing light. And then he saw her, a girl dancing on stage. Her name was Lillian. Lillian was the type of beauty that could stop a man's heart. She danced with so much joy that even strangers felt happy watching her. Her long braids swung behind her. Her pink lips shone under the flashing light. She moved her waist like she was born on that stage. Morvin watched her closely, too closely. Something about her drew him in like a magnet. He walked toward the stage. People moved out of his way again. When he reached her, Lillian stopped dancing for a moment. Their eyes met. And that was it. Their story had begun. Morvin smiled softly, reached into his suitcase, and began spraying her with money. Not just small notes, thick bundles. People screamed, some shouted, others clapped. Lillian blushed so much her cheeks turned bright red. Later that night, he took her to a rooftop restaurant and they talked. About life, about dreams, about nothing, yet everything. And the more they talked, the more Lillian felt like she had met a man from a fairy tale. From that night onward, Morvin became Lillian's world. It took her to the best hangouts in Abuja. He bought her fancy shoes, expensive gowns, designer perfumes, bags that cost more than some people's salaries. They went on boat rides, rooftop dinners, spa dates, private movie nights, weekend getaways. Every day felt like she was living inside a dream. And no matter how much he spent, the money kept flowing like river water after a heavy rain. One night, after another perfect date, Morvin got down on one knee, opened a small velvet box, and a large diamond ring shined like a star.
Lillian gasped. Her eyes filled with tears. She covered her mouth. Her legs shook, and she whispered, "Yes, yes, I will marry you." The next day, Lillian met her two best friends. She showed them the shiny diamond ring, stretching her hand forward again and again so they could see it from every angle. She said, "Girls, my man proposed with a real diamond though, real oh, not those cheap ones in the market." Her friends screamed, they took pictures, they hugged her. She felt like the luckiest woman alive.
Lillian brought Marvin to her widowed mother's small, humble village house to introduce him as her man. Marvin stepped inside, calm, composed, his presence quiet yet commanding. Her mother's eyes widened at him. After polite greetings, Marvin finally reached into his suitcase and handed her thick bundles of money. Lillian's mother nearly fainted. She ran outside shouting, "My neighbors, come on! My daughter is dating a very, very rich man. God has finally remembered my family." People gathered. Some clapped, some smiled, some were jealous. Her mother dragged her aside, whispering excitedly, "My daughter, hold this man tight. Men like this don't come twice in a woman's lifetime." Later, when they left for the city, the ride was quiet. Almost too quiet. At Marvin's apartment, Lillian leaned in to hug him. She whispered softly, "Thank you for today." And then she froze. That coldness, the same icy chill she had felt the other night. "Baby, why are you always so cold?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Marvin brushed her cheek softly. "It's the AC, my love. Don't mind it." But Lillian looked around, and the air conditioner wasn't even on. A shiver ran up her spine, yet still, she brushed the uneasy feeling aside. Wedding plans rose like a storm, fast, loud, and overwhelming. Lillian felt herself drowning in a level of wealth she had never touched before. This wasn't the kind of wedding families planned in their living rooms with notebooks and neighbors' advice. No, this was a wedding coated in gold. A wedding made for people who lived above normal life. It was a Dubai wedding. From the moment they boarded the plane, Lillian felt different, as if she were wearing a crown she didn't earn. The hotel they arrived at glimmered everywhere. Golden walls, glass floors that reflected her steps, chandeliers that hung like frozen waterfalls. The air smelled rich, heavy, intoxicating, money in every corner. Guests arrived in outfits that could buy cars. Camera flashes lit the room like stars in a night sky. Lillian's gown, it glittered as if someone had sewn diamonds into every thread. And Marvin stood beside her, perfectly composed, almost supernatural, radiating calm and elegance that made people stare, envy, whisper. Everyone wanted to know the woman beside him, and everyone wanted to know him. And yet, deep inside her chest, a small, cold tap, a whisper, a feeling she tried to ignore, but it was there, tapping, warning her. Night fell, the party ended, guests left, laughter lingering in the air. Lillian entered the hotel suite, their first night together as husband and wife. Rose petals covered the floor. Warm golden lights glowed softly. Sweet music floated around her, and the scent of roses mingled with anticipation. She waited for Marvin, heart racing, eyes wide. And then he appeared. Something about him shifted. His eyes, sharper than before. His skin, darker, almost shadowed. His movements, slow, deliberate, unnatural. "Lillian," he said softly, voice calm, commanding, "come closer."
She hesitated for a heartbeat, then stepped forward. The lights flickered. Once, twice, and again. The floor trembled beneath her feet. A low hissing sound, echoing, growing, curling around the walls of the room. Her perfect night was no longer perfect. If only Lillian knew, the man she loved wasn't a man at all. But by the time she found out, it was already too late. The room grew cold, painfully cold. Lillian's heart pounded as Marvin stepped closer, his eyes empty, sharp, wrong. Then his body began to change, unnatural, terrifying. Bones twisted, skin darkened. His pupils stretched into glowing yellow slits. Marvin, what is happening? She whispered. He didn't answer. He hissed. The floor vibrated. Lillian fell back as his human form disappeared, replaced by a massive ancient python, its black scales gleaming, its eyes locked on her every breath. She screamed, scrambling on the rose petals, trying to escape, but the snake blocked every path. Then a voice echoed inside her mind. I gave you everything. Luxury, comfort, the life you wanted. But you never cared who I truly was. You never asked, you only chased the glitter. The python's eyes burned onto her. Now you will pay the price of loving a man you never tried to know. The lights went out. Her final scream tore through the darkness.